if you noticed all the
Yeah.
stars in there. I was just going to do the song today, but I decided it needed the faces.
Right. Yes.
So this month has been about emancipation of discord from all nature. And in what we believe, Earnest Holmes wrote, we believe that the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. And in the write-up it says, asks the question, what is the cause of discord? And that's a good question. I thought it was. And the answer, it's actually pretty simple. It's the failure to understand who and what we are. It is clinging to the outer appearances, to things, to people, to circumstances, believing that these things, people, circumstances can cause our happiness or not happiness, or can give us freedom. When, like I think my running theme, I need to get a bumper sticker that life is an inside job. And this, it goes to show that everything that we desire and whatever, like all the discords, we a lot of times bring on ourselves because we don't trust who we are. We don't realize who we are. We take it from others, like a lot of times from when we're children and stuff, and we're told, well, you're not this, you're not that, you're not good enough, you're all these negative things, and we buy into that. And we suck it right down. And once it's in there, it is really challenging to kick that out. I speak from experience. It's just, the question we have to ask is, who am I? And what am I here to do? And I gave it, in our Toastmasters group, we have a person that brings the word of the day for the meeting. And I was the word master. I love that word master. It's powerful. Sometimes we get words that nobody uses because one thing they can't pronounce it. So I wanted to do a simple word, and I chose the word pride. Well, for one reason, because this is Pride Week, and another, I found this definition which I thought was perfect for, it doesn't make any difference what sex, color, religion, anything you are, because it said that pride is a feeling that you respect yourself.
Oh.
And that you deserve to be respected by others. And that right there is how we can get rid of the discords of every nature. If we respect ourselves, if we love ourselves, if we honor ourselves, and if we do that, most people will give you that back in return. Not all, because right now there's stuff, People have their own stuff. Yesterday I had some stuff come up. Most of you have heard the 4 agreements. Well, the one I find the hardest thing is don't take things personally. Oh, I just got goosebumps all over. Because it is so true. I was at this event, and a person quoted exactly what I had said to her, why I chose not to remain in this position. Didn't use my name, which thank God, but it was word for word what I said, and I felt publicly chastised and hurt. Because in life, we're taught that a lot of times to say, it's okay to say yes. Yes to good things, yes to fun. I had a hard time doing that for a long time, especially after I first got sober. To be out saying yes to do things, But then on the other hand, it is also okay to say no. Because sometimes we have to have that self-care. We have to take care of ourselves. And that's one thing I thought about this morning, that years ago I could be bullied, not too many years ago, into service, into doing something for somebody, because oh, they really want me to do it, or thinking like, oh, I'm really needed. But in my heart, you know, one thing, it doesn't spark anything. So we need to say yes to things that spark us, that give us, that fill our hearts with joy and finding just like finding the perfect career, that you get up in the morning and you go, whoa, I get to go and do this today. Instead of like, oh God, I have to go there again. You know, that in itself is one of the discords I think that brings a lot of illness, because so many times we stay in certain situations, jobs, relationships, you name it, because it's familiar, because maybe the money is fantastic, the benefits are fantastic, but you're miserable. So we have to take pride in ourselves and honor ourselves. That's the thing that so many times we choose not to. We feel that we have to honor everybody else, but you know what? We're all in this together. We're on this one big, I love the blue marble, I love the picture of it. It's just, because it is. We're all here to be and work together. And the thing about one of the things that I find that brings a lot of discord is fear. Fear, I mean, I've spoken on this before, and fear is so devastating. I'm trying to find the right words. You know, sometimes it just don't come up, because fear is such a heavy, powerful force that can be used. I mean, we can use it against others. We can use it, have it used against us. Like sometimes the government. You know, we fear the government because there's so many different things that they bring down upon us. You know, and we do need government. I believe that. And Marianne Williamson, this famous quote, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And sometimes we think of power as a negative force, like the power of, well, the police or the power of the government. I remember in practitioner training, it was one of the first times that I really realized that, you know, power is good. Our own power that we each have, and we each have that power. We have the power to say yes, we have the power to say no. We have the power to be who we came here on this earth to be. And that is important, because sometimes we don't know why we're here. I think we should have a little plan written out, you know, all organized. Sometimes I think that'd be great. But that would be again what somebody else thinks our why we are here.
Right.
But we have to do it for ourselves. We have to look inside. That's why these spiritual practices like meditation and even journaling, which I don't do enough, I highly recommend it, but you know, you're supposed to practice what you preach. But I know the power of it because I've experienced it. And meditation, or just contemplation, just being quiet, being still and saying, okay, what am I supposed to do in, like, say, this situation? And sometimes we have to ask for more clarification, because sometimes what comes in is like, what? You know, what's going on here? I don't understand this. And sometimes we just have to be patient and ask for more clarification on what is this supposed to look like. Because in meditations, a lot of times, people get different things. People will see, a lot of times see words. Words will come to me. Some people see colors. Some people see people or other things. And that's why the human race is such an interesting mix of creation. Because we are. Well, actually, we are like a little bag. Remember marbles? I remember marbles as a kid. I mean, they were all different colors, and some were solid colors, some were not, you know, they were mixed colors. And that's kind of who we are. We all make up this little bag of marbles. And I have another question. I did a talk on this at Toastmasters, I think it was last week. And it was after the shootings in Orlando. And I listened to someone, and they asked these two questions. Or I read this, and actually I was very proud of myself, because a lot of times I'm an audio or visual person, and I like to listen and see like a person speaking. Well, I couldn't find it, and so I had to read it all. And I told her over the phone that, it's like, whoa, because I have challenges reading, and sometimes if it's long, I'm not going to do it. But if it sparks my interest, I will. I'll read every word, sometimes go back and reread it. But he asked the question of this group of people of, when you heard about the shootings in Orlando, how did you feel? And the second question was, when you found out it was a gay nightclub, did that change your feelings? And if it did, then there's definitely something wrong. And it's just not the gay nightclub, like Reverend Ron brought up. It's all in Petra's letter. It's all these things that have happened because you're different. Your color is different. Your religion is different. Your orientation is different. And that's fear. People fear what they don't know or don't understand. I don't condone it, but I can see it. So I did this talk on the value of a life, because that brought up to me, okay, just what is the value of a life? Who determines that? Others, I think, the others. They're all out there, you know, they and the others and all that. And I've always wondered who they are. That's one of the biggest questions in life. Who are they that determine the value of your life, the value of any of our lives here? It's just, each life is equally valued. According, I believe that. No matter what side of the track you came from, no matter what religion, what race, what sex, should that differ, should the value of your life differ because of those things? I say no. And that's where I think we have to stand up. And the idea of the pride of respecting ourselves and stand up for who we are. And not let others bully us. I mean, that has come apparent so much lately, you know, and people don't know they're doing it. But I think it's up to us to stand up, and when somebody is bullying us, to say so. To say, do you realize, you know, what I'm feeling from you? You know, you don't want to do it, try to do it in a polite, decent way, but sometimes some people don't, they can't hear that. They have to hear something else, something maybe louder, but we need to stand up for each other, to come together. And like the song says, you know, I mean, that's an old song. I mean, but it's so true. That's what the world needs now. If we could come together in love, I mean, we don't have to totally understand each other, because that's the part of life. I mean, the one day when I shared the story before, when this young Muslim woman came in here wanting to sell her work, what she does. I mean, that was the last thing we talked about, because we got into conversation. And I was, you know, I was so moved, because I'd never done that with with any, let's say, Muslim. Because I've never had I guess I've never been placed in that opportunity. But if we get placed in an opportunity where we can have a discussion with somebody that we don't understand, ask questions. Allow them to ask questions back. Wouldn't that create a more harmonious world? Even sometimes even in our households. I'm not saying my household, of course. But, like growing up in the household I grew up in, I could have used a little bit of that. A little bit of understanding, a little bit of listening to. I remember as a kid, because you're told, you're just a kid. You don't know anything, so basically, shut up. You're supposed to be seen and not heard. And I look back on that now, if I would have been allowed to ask these questions and find out certain things, how different would life be? Instead of having to go out and find certain things out on our own. Sometimes experience is the best teacher, but sometimes if you have a question, that's why I love when I see parents with their kids and when they're having conversation. It's a beautiful thing because I envy that. Because I never really, as I got older, in my 20s, or actually probably close to my 30s, I was able to have good conversations with my mother, and we did mend any fences that might have been broken, because there was situations that happened that sometimes were not the best for either one. But I look back and I understand a lot of things. I understand why she was at that time how she was. She did the best she could. And sometimes we don't see that when we're in the moment, and people around us are trying. And so we need to look and respect and have pride in others. Respect them. I think respect is, I have Aretha Franklin in my head right now. But respect is so, I think, so important. Especially starting as a child, and to respect and to honor them as a life force. Because they're not only our future, they're our present. They're our hope and our dreams. And most of the time they're pretty great. So in this releasing of discord of every nature, we are responsible. Happiness doesn't come from out there. Joy doesn't come from out there. It's right here. It's inside of us. It's one of the aspects of the divine. And we are that. Whether sometimes we believe it or not, sometimes it's hard to believe that. That we are expressions, we have that spark, that divine spark. I just want to close with this quote from, I think it's Joni Tada. I had posted this on Facebook a couple weeks ago because it really hits home. And it's actually a good affirmation. It's, if you truly believe in the value of life, you care about all of the weakest and the most vulnerable members of society. You care for everyone, not just, dare I say it, the 1%? I said it. But you care for those who sometimes are less fortunate. Because I know in my life I've been in situations where it wasn't pretty. But through divine intervention and loving, caring, supportive people, I'm standing here today. And we can do that. We can be the wind beneath someone's wings. And just lift them up and hold them and love them. So it is.